to the project, I suppose the trailer would give us an introduction to first, before we delve into questions and answers. So who's going to do that for us?
I will. Right, so pretty much for our trailer, we just put interesting facts from all our topics. So we're doing scarcity of resources, we're 8B. How?
And overpopulation.
And overpopulation, sorry. And so what we did, we split it into topics. I'm doing water.
Yeah, I did renewable resources.
I was doing like influences, like increasing population and also human-related issues.
And I did influences on the environment.
And then we have another group member who wasn't here. But yeah. And so we got all the topics together, and then we just put up facts along with like pictures in the background, and then we put epic music along with it.
So the trailer was an introduction of the topics you're covering?
Yeah, so yeah, we did topic after topic and put interesting facts.
Yeah, it's kind of,
Okay, Michelle, have you got a question about their video? Oh, okay. All right. So we'll get a chance to watch your video at home. Now, I think there's a bit more insight into your project. Aidan.
Yeah, so, Aidan, sorry.
Curtis.
And Lauren.
Melissa's away.
Okay, tell us a bit more about your project before we get questions.
So we looked at how it was going to affect us in the future, what we're doing at the moment, and how it's affecting some countries. So for my topic, water, countries such as Africa are suffering more than, say, the UK, the USA, or even Australia, whereas they have most of their water, about 80% of the water in Africa is unsafe drinking water, and they're getting a lot of problems from it. So if they could improve that in the future and maybe focus less on developed countries which already have heaps of water, then maybe they could benefit more people through that. So that's what I say. So do you want to talk about your topic?
Yeah, I did renewable resources. So basically, is pretty much getting to the point where we'll have to start looking for other resources to use other than fossil fuels and coals and that sort of thing. And it's becoming like that. Western Australia is actually doing more research into ways to do it. So like even through soil waste, like replenishment, that sort of thing. But the big ones would be like solar power, hydropower, wind power, those sort of things. And it also likely benefits not only with the energy resource, but also providing like jobs. It's lower costing and it's like overall, like statistically, it's people would prefer renewable energy over fossil fuels, well, in current state anyway.
Yeah, well, with mine, I was mainly looking at human-related issues and also how we're going to cope, like sort of touching on other people's areas as well. But I was also looking at how population has been in the past and like currently is now, how's it looking in the future. Particularly, I found there's my general sort of consensus that like population is growing. There's like currently there's like over 1 billion people without like who lack access to like sufficient water consumption, and a lot of people who about 40% of the population still don't use electricity and still rely on like solid fuel sources to cook food and heating. And like this is actually a massive problem because it's like in 2010 I think it was like it caused like 2.8 million premature deaths from pollution and like inhalation of fumes. So a lot of these issues are actually increasing in the future, and especially with our ever-increasing population and particularly fertility rates in a lot of poorer nations, where birth control isn't as prevalent as in Western cultures. There can be a huge population spike in these areas. So we're going to have a lot of people who don't have a lot of resources, and we're going to need to find ways to solve this.
Okay. Well, I found that we've pretty much got like increasing population, and we're using up resources that have an unsustainable rate. So, this is resulting in things like pollution, and we pretty much need to change the way in which we are living because our population is just going to continue increasing. So.
Okay, well, that's a good overview, particularly since we're not working with the video. We have got just a minute or so for a couple of questions. Who'd like to start with Lisa, and then over to me?
Alright, so what would you guys say that you found was like the primary driver of resource scarcity? Do you think that like all of the environmental detriments and stuff would be lessened?
A lot of resource driven. A lot of Western cultures, like I think one of our resources a few weeks ago was talking about like America, and then they use about like, I can't remember the statistic, but we use a lot more resources than other like nations. I've got actually a statistic in, like in Australia's population is like, I think in 2012 was 22.8 million, and Uganda's was like 33 point something million. And our energy usage for Australia was like a lot higher. It was, I think Uganda's one was about 1% electricity usage than what we have here, even though they have a high population. So because like a lot of the Western cultures are consuming like over their share of resources. So because it's kind of working out at the moment, because there's a lot of poor nations which have virtually nothing, and there's wealthy with heaps. So I think in the future we're going to have to try and get some kind of equality where we may have to lower our living standards so we can support our increasing population.
I'll just go to Amber first.
You said you need to change the way that we live so that we can have more resources for everyone. What would you say, or like what were the ways that you discovered were the ways we need to change?
Well, a lot of things, well, it's kind of hard because a lot of people, I think we talked about this earlier in our tutorials, that people don't really want to give up like modern day living. If I said, oh, you can have like, you know, one bathroom and like a tiny house, no one's going to be like, no, I'm willing to do that. So I think there's going to be some kind of like societal change in like our opinions. Because, you know, like our current opinion is that we want more and more. Like we want to have like the biggest house, earn the most money, you know, have flash cars and everything. Well, I think that needs to sort of change in our society where we need to view like maybe less is more, like maybe focus on stuff like families and relationships rather than material goods.
Okay, look, fascinating discussion. Again, we'll have a chance to look at your project website. We look forward to that. But look, I think these last two groups deserve a good round of applause because they had a tough start. Well, to wrap up, I think Neville's introductory comment was saying that what we're hoping to see were your capacity to start to draw together some of the discussions that we've had during the course. I think we saw some good examples in the video discussions today, Neville. I think a larger range of ideas very well together. So I'll hand over to you to say goodbye for next week.
Just before I say goodbye, can I say thank you. These last 2 weeks, from our viewpoint as tutors, they're the most exciting weeks we have. We finally see all of you coming together and really giving up some good stuff. Who talked about entitlement? A couple of your talks are talking about, gee, we're using too much. But we're entitled to use more than anyone else. We're Australians. Isn't that the way we voted? I think I'll just leave you with that thought. Congratulations to everyone. Next week we'll have that thing going. But please come along. This next week and final week is the most important of the lot. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah. Well, maybe I'm hoping I can try both. That if I talk less, then we have quicker group discussions, then we stop and we have a problem out of the general.
Like the small groups are still good because people get to talk.
Yeah. Or conversely, every second week. We have 1 week into, you know, like little groups, 1 week big groups. I mean, the word entitlement fascinates me. You wretches, and I'm a wretch too. Isn't it fascinating that we know everyone's poor, we know we're unkind, we know, and yet when it comes to voting, we're entitled to stop those bloody votes. We're entitled not to give people money. We're entitled to keep it all here.
The compassion was interesting because in Australia we've become more compassionate to people with like sexual assault.